Survive in Advance is powered by betting.net. So make sure you check out betting.net. Betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to our website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. I am your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion and the president of the Carson Wentz fan club, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, doing great. What an absolutely epic weekend of football for the NFL and the games. A lot of superlatives being thrown around by the Saturday or the Monday morning broadcast sports guys. So
Yeah, and
looking
I'll
forward
tell you,
to
the thing that was impressive is we had maybe the worst wild card weekend ever, followed up by maybe, I don't even think it's maybe, is by far the best divisional playoff weekend I've ever seen.
well, you include all four teams and the emergence of a new band of of stars, of guys that are definitely looking to take over this league. And possibly some goodbyes to some of our heroes of yesterday. Oh, I don't think either one of them's leaving the game, but their stature may be diminishing in the game a little bit with the emergence of some of the quarterbacks this weekend. So, but I'm sure in the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes, we'll get to all that
Yeah, and
and
if
we'll
you
go.
talk about the AFC, I think our friend Ken Sterling, who follows the Colts, wrote a great article this morning. And first time I've ever said that about Kent. I'm just kidding, Kent. But I'm just kidding. But he said it the best is right now, the difference between the Colts and the premier teams in the AFC is not having the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow. And I mean, right now, it's hard for me to see how any team's going to compete with these teams over the next 5 to 10 years just because of these three guys. Because Josh Allen last year was really, really good, but not like this year. I mean, the things he did last night in that game, and Joe Burrow taking 9 sacks, still figuring out how to win a game, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be hard to compete with those three teams because as long as those quarterbacks are there, free agents are going to want to go there, and those teams are always going to be towards the top, and it's going to be hard to take Carson Wentz and beat one of those guys because I could not imagine Carson Wentz making the throws that Allen made, that Burrow made, that Mahomes made in the last 30, 45 seconds of those games.
Yeah, that's an obvious observation. I mean, I think these three this weekend distanced themselves in front of virtually all the quarterbacks left in the NFL right now. I think they definitely passed by Brady and Rodgers in current ability to play right now. Now you go over the tenure of their career, you still have, with Rodgers and Brady, you still have two of the greatest of goats of all time. But today, if you were building a team today, Mike, and I know which of the three you'd pick. Obviously, it's a great choice.
I'll take
But
any of the three, Steve, to
yeah,
tell you
yeah,
the
you could
truth.
go. You can't go wrong with any of the three. But you would take any of those three over Brady and Rodgers right now to build your team forward.
Well, yeah, just because of age.
Age and tenure, right? So
And I'll tell you,
it was a coming of ages weekend for the quarterback position. A transition was started. We got to keep these kids healthy. That's the first thing.
yeah.
Primarily is not have lingering knee injuries and arm injuries and things that's the nature of football. But certainly in terms of desire and wantability, these guys are going to command $50 million salaries on their
At
next
least,
contracts, at
if not
least.
more.
Yeah,
So the biggest issue you're going to have is at Cincinnati in a couple of years,
can
all
you
the wide
afford them?
receivers and Burrow come up. And we've seen it with Kansas City as they lost a couple players a couple of years ago. It led to them losing the Super Bowl last year. And the same thing in Buffalo because all these guys are going to want to get paid. Now, let's
Right.
start off with Saturday's first game, which was the Cincinnati Bengals against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans were the number one seed going into this game. The guy who stood out to me the most was not Joe Burrow, it was DJ Reader. And I'm not sure I've ever seen a nose tackle take over a game like this before, at least not at the NFL level in the playoffs. Reader took the Titans' lunch money in the run game, and it didn't matter who was blocking him. The interior of the Titans' offensive line could not move him with solo blocks, combos, or double teams. He had 4 run stops behind the line of scrimmage where he just blew his guy up. And the thing is, Derrick Henry to me, I mean, looked like Derrick Henry. The issue was DJ Reader was hitting him behind the line of scrimmage, which, a guy that big, he gets to the line of scrimmage, you got an issue. So you got to
Built
get
to a miss,
penetration.
yeah.
And he did that. So,
Yeah.
DJ Reader, I think, is a guy that really gets overlooked in this game.
Yeah, there's no doubt Cincinnati came prepared to deal with Derrick Henry. They had him pegged, and I think that in fairness to Derrick as well, I'm sure he wasn't as quick off the ball as he would had he been at the end of a season where he played all season. His timing was still off a little bit, but you're right. I didn't see anything that I thought that led me to believe Derrick Henry shouldn't be playing the game. I mean, he certainly looked a lot like Derrick Henry that we know and love. But, yeah, he was being shut down. They had this team pegged, and, we've all had suspects with Tannehill in terms of can he carry a team solely. And yeah, maybe during the regular season when you always can live to play another day. And they were not in the strongest division. Tennessee wasn't. So that moniker of the number one seed may have been a little anointed as much as earned.
They are a team that beat the Rams. They beat the Chiefs. I mean, they beat,
and they got beat by some
teams.
pretty poor teams too.
Wait, so did almost everybody this year,
Right,
though.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the Bengals have losses to the Bears and the Jets, where they would have been the number one seed.
Right.
The Chiefs lost a couple games that nobody thought the Chiefs would lose. But the thing I come away from it is this. I watched the Tennessee Titans. I think they're maybe the most complete team in the AFC. But the issue is this, and we just talked about it with the Colts and Carson Wentz. Ryan Tannehill is not one of the three guys we talked about. And while he's a good quarterback, he's just that. And he turned the ball over on 2 interceptions that never should have been thrown and basically killed their chances to win this game.
Yeah, well, Tannehill is in the same boat that Wentz is in that although I think he's better than Wentz in the sense that I think Tannehill is good enough as long as Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry are dominating a football game. Then you can hide either one of those two quarterbacks to some degree. And you need to hide Tannehill less than you do Wentz. Obviously, we learned that this season. But they're not standalone guys. Neither one of them are, as we saw with the big three now. They're going to go out and you're going to just ride them right to a Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah, and the thing about Burrow, when you talk about Burrow, the opposite of Tannehill, he was sacked 9 times.
9 times.
And those
Has that ever happened, Mike? Anybody's ever been sacked?
Not in win.
9 times in a playoff game and won the game?
No. Donovan McNabb did it. He was only sacked 8 times.
He was 8 times.
In 2002 or 2003. But those sacks didn't phase Burrow. He completed 76% of his passes on the day. And his adjusted completion percentage, where you account for drops, was 85.3%. He almost never missed on his own. His only interception was an accurate ball that Samaje Perine tipped into the air and it got intercepted. Despite that, I mean, the throw he made 20 yards downfield on the out to the corner there that got him to the 35, got him in field goal range to Jamar Chase was an absolutely great throw. And we saw it all weekend from those three guys.
Yeah, and we saw it from Rodgers and Brady too. I mean, and Garoppolo. I don't want to take away.
I don't think we saw it from Rodgers, and I don't think we saw it from Garoppolo.
Okay, well,
not consistently.
No,
I mean, let's face it. Garoppolo. We'll get to that game in a minute, but Garoppolo, they didn't score an offensive touchdown and they won.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and we'll get to that game. I was thinking this last night as I was trying to think about where this conversation is going to go. Was there an interception yesterday? And I know of one. The first pass that Brady threw was picked, and it was a clean pick. Wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you talk about the one towards the end of the first half, I think, where he threw
thought
the ball
very first pass he threw was picked.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong on that. Or was that last weekend?
I don't know. They all kind of run together.
Yeah, they run together. But was there an interception yesterday in any of the 4 games that was not a tipped ball pickoff?
No, I mean, in any of the 4 games, yeah. Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill, the first throw of the game, he got picked off by.
Well, then it was Tannehill that had the first ball tipped off, not Brady.
Yeah, and that was the issue.
Yeah, first pass of the whole weekend.
Yeah, the first pass of the whole week, it was picked off.
It was
And the
picked off
tennis,
cleanly. Other than that, I'm not sure there was another interception thrown that wasn't a tipped ball.
yeah, I don't think so. And when you
Yeah.
look, the offensive line is an issue in Cincinnati. And Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry are great players, but there's no way that a pair of defensive tackles should leave a game with 4.5 sacks. The Bengals' offensive line was atrocious. And if that doesn't get fixed, I don't see how it can be fixed right now because you're too late. Anybody
Yeah.
that's any good is already somewhere. So I think in the end, that is going to be the Achilles heel that will probably stop this team. But with that being said, it should have stopped them on Saturday night and didn't.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question pertaining to that. Isn't it a good thing, Mike, to know the Bengals flat out know what they've got to fix? It's not like we have
Yeah.
get receivers. The Colts got to get some new receivers. They've got to shore up their defensive backs. They need an edge rusher. I mean, with the Bengals, it right now is clearly build that offensive line for your quarterback, and you're going to be a dominant force football team for as long as that line holds up.
Yeah, because what we
So
saw
it's a
for the
simple
Bengals,
solution for the
I mean,
Colts for the Bengals to get better.
the scary thing if you're in the AFC North is the fact that the Bengals defense is what won this game. And that is something that I don't think anybody would have expected to happen. I mean, the Bengals defense has caught a lot of hell, but the Bengals defense played really well against the Raiders. They played really well against the Titans. And, you're missing guys, and they're still playing well, which is what makes this team hard to play right now because I mean, they can beat you any phase of the game. I mean, you watch yesterday or 2 nights ago, McPherson comes in and kicks a 52-yard field goal like it's nothing. So right now, people think that the Bengals have no chance going into this AFC Championship game. But at the start of the year, everybody picked the Bengals to win 3 or 4 games, and that's it. And it's the same thing with the 49ers. Everybody kind of writes both teams off. I think they write the Bengals off more than the 49ers. But I think if this year has taught us anything about the modern NFL, it really is any given Sunday and somebody can beat somebody. I mean, we saw it every weekend, usually
Right.
2 or 3 times this year.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
all right.
So, okay, all right. So let's move on. Before we do that, I'd like to do this. Looking at that game, and we have a pick'em show coming up later on this week, so we don't want to make our picks right now. But what's the one takeaway the Bengals are going to need to have to get a little bit better at between
The
now and
offensive
next
line,
Sunday?
you got to
Offensive
block them.
line.
I mean,
Gotta
and
block.
really, if
Okay.
the offensive line
Very
would
good.
just
Simple
be,
as that.
if the offensive line would be average, I don't think anybody would beat the Bengals right now. But the problem is, it's not going to be.
Yeah.
All right, next up, the 49ers knock out Aaron Rodgers, who is supposed to be the greatest quarterback that ever lived, and maybe he is until the playoffs come. And then things change. And this is another one here. I think what we saw is Saturday night, the defenses are what won the game. And on Sunday, the offenses won the game. So when you want to call the Niners and Bengals huge underdogs, that's fine. But remember the old adage, defense wins championships. And the 49ers were sensational Saturday night. They held Green Bay to 263 total yards in just 3 points after the Packers got off to a scorching hot start where they went 69 plays, 10 plays for a touchdown. After that, 194 yards and 3 points. Aaron Rodgers was sacked 5 times. It was a superb performance by the 49ers here. I mean, that defensive front with Bosa and the guys is really good. And the difference in this game, though, to me, San Francisco's offense didn't score a touchdown, but their special teams picked up the slack. Robbie Gould hit 2 field goals in the snow, including the 45-yard game winner. And then Talanoa Hufanga also recovered a block punt for a touchdown. The special teams accounted for all 13 of the 49ers points.
Did you watch that blocked punt? This
Yeah.
was hilarious. The guy blocks it, and then you got 4 or 5 Green Bay Packers standing at the goal line looking around like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? And
You know why they did that, Steve?
It's 30 feet in the air above their head.
You know why they did that, Steve?
Why?
Because they couldn't find the ball.
In the snow, yeah.
I don't think it's because of the snow. The ball's brown and the snow's white. But the other thing here is, the great thing is, if you don't like Aaron Rodgers, and I don't, Because I'm sorry, but a lot of the Packer fans I know are a little bit nuts, and I know there was some in northern Kentucky that probably jumped off a bridge. But the 49ers are now 4-0 all time against Rodgers in the postseason.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I mean, including 2-0 against him at Lambeau Field with a pair of walk-off field goals. The first one was in Green Bay in 2013. But I think this. I think there comes a point because people always rip Drew Brees. Well, he only won one Super Bowl. Nobody ever says that about the great Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
But there has
18
to come
seasons
a
in the league
point.
and only one Super Bowl appearance
Yeah,
and
there has
one
to come a
win, but
point.
that's it.
Yeah, and
You
he's
know,
lost four home games at Lambeau.
I took away from that last night that I think the Packers are just a team that for 18 years have lived and died with Rodgers. And that doesn't work well in a playoff setting. Again, you go back into regular setting when the pressure is usually dialed down a notch because you live to play another day, usually during league play. And the Packers are always good enough. They're going to be a playoff contending team. But in the playoffs, if you're going to live and die with just one player in the NFL, you're not going to go very far very often. And that was a takeaway I took from the Packers. The Packers need to find more weapons to utilize that aren't directly tied to Rodgers. You know, they need a running back. They need a defensive.
Oh, they've got two good running backs, A.J. Dillon and Jones.
Well,
I mean,
they need edge rushers.
line.
They need to shore their defense up or something else that you can rely on.
Well, you can't blame a defense when you only give up, 13 points. And you didn't even give up 13 points. The special teams did. So, to me, Rodgers had everything he needed. The other thing is this. Aaron Rodgers seems to, in big situations, lock on to Devontae Adams and only throw to Devontae Adams. And I think that is a huge issue also. He looked uncomfortable in this game, and he looks uncomfortable in most playoff games. So, when you look at that, I mean, the Niners are very well coached. They have a better coach than Green Bay also. I mean, LaFleur, we saw him last year, down by 8 points or something in the championship game where he decides to kick a field goal with a little over 2 minutes left. So I think there's a lot of issues in Green Bay. And if Aaron Rodgers wants out, it may be a while before the Green Bay Packers contend again. All right, next up. Tom Brady was down 27-3 towards the end of the third quarter. Almost came back and won.
Well, all right, wait a minute. Before we move on, just real quickly, let me ask you again. Same question. What's the one takeaway that the 49ers, between now and next Sunday, have to get better at?
I don't think they have to get better at anything. I think the Rams have to get better because the Rams have lost 6 straight games to the 49ers. And the 49ers are really successful running the ball against the Rams because they run the outside zone, the inside zone, and they're trying to get angles on linemen. They're not trying to block them one-on-one because San Francisco has a defensive line, there's a defensive line in L.A. with Aaron Donald in them. You cannot block man-on-man or even double team. So I think they just need to do what they do. And Deebo Samuel has to be healthy because he limped off the field at the end of that game. And Deebo Samuel is a game changer the way they use him. So Samuel has to be healthy. Other than that, the 49ers have a legitimate shot in that game.
So you think the 49ers are in good solid shape, don't really need to improve anything? Just, I would say offensive production.
Jimmy Garoppolo's got to play better.
Yeah, well, they need better offensive production.
With Jimmy Garoppolo, you're basically flipping a coin. You're either going to get a Jimmy G that goes off on somebody, or you're going to get the Jimmy G that your special teams has to score for you to win. All right, next up, the LA Rams and Matt Stafford get by Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending world champions. And my takeaway here is I think Tristan Wirfs and not having him was the killer. The Rams were simply the better team in every facet, including at quarterback. Matt Stafford played really well. I mean, you had the Cooper Kupp fumble. You had the running back for the Rams, Cam Akers, fumbles a couple times. The Rams basically kept the Buccaneers in this game, Steve.
Is it safe to say the Rams are probably the best well-rounded team of the Final Four left? Right now, the best well-rounded. Not saying they're the best, and I don't want to get into a debate over.
If you just go talent-wise, they're probably the best team.
Yeah.
But if it makes any sense, the 49ers
and McVay is
considered
one of the better coaches in the NFL.
Coach. He's all right. He's all right.
Well, he's one of the better coaches in the NFL. I didn't give him a superlative.
There ain't too many guys that are great in the NFL anymore. But I still think the biggest thing here was the injuries. Not having Chris Godwin, not having Tristan Wirfs. I mean, Antonio Brown, no big deal to me because you put Godwin in there with Evans, you'd be fine. My question is this. Would Brady retire on this?
No, I don't think Tom Brady's going to retire.
I don't think he would either.
Not like this.
He's got nothing else to do.
He's got another Super Bowl. He's got another Super Bowl appearance in him. He has statistically, he was the number one quarterback in the league statistically in terms of yards and completions. And I mean, come on, it's not like the guy's falling apart.
But he did fall apart at the end of the season. I mean, 4 pick sixes in the last 5 or 6 games. But the thing about it is this, everybody always says it doesn't matter about the regular season, it's what you do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And what he's done in the playoffs is play as well as anybody, including Brady, Mahomes, and Burrow right now.
At one time, the score of that game was 27-3.
Yeah.
And he brings them back in the fourth quarter of that game.
Well, I don't think that was more of a Brady comeback. He made some great throws, but that was more of the Rams just dropping the damn ball, if nothing else. Yeah, so if I'm the Rams, I just clean that up.
Regardless,
I don't turn the ball over.
There aren't a lot of quarterbacks that can be a part of that and do his part in making that happen. If you don't want to give all the credit to Brady, and I understand that.
No, I'm just saying, without the turnovers, he never gets the opportunity.
And you know what? I thought about it again last night. I was just thinking, I halfway expected that to happen. I didn't think this thing was going to end 27-3.
No, you knew Tom Brady was coming back one way or the other.
And whether I thought it was going to get tied, and I said immediately when the Bucs scored, I said, you left too much time. You only got to get this guy into the 40-yard line.
Yeah, you only need.
And Stafford's playing good enough, and you got Cooper Kupp. I mean, my God, that's a deadly duo just to pick up 40 yards.
Yeah, and Odell Beckham Jr. And,
I mean, you got weapons.
They're loaded, but you still have
too much time left. You almost wanted Fournette to get to the 1 yard line and just drop and just fall down.
Well, I think this. I think when you look at this Rams team, they're the most talented team left. And this is going to come back to what Matt Stafford does. If Matt Stafford doesn't turn the ball over and Cam Akers doesn't fumble 2 times, I think the Rams would be my favorite to win the Super Bowl. I mean, to win the Super Bowl. Because when I look at them, they are better defensively than the Bengals and the Chiefs. I mean, and the Bengals and Chiefs aren't bad defenses, but the Rams can be a dominant defense that can get after you. And if you remember Super Bowl 42, where the Patriots were undefeated, they played the Giants, everybody thinks it's a mismatch. It was a mismatch everywhere except for on the lines, where the Giants had a 7-man rotation. They could get after the quarterback. And they nullified Tom Brady by hitting him the entire game. And that's how they won the game. So the Rams have the one matchup against the Bengals or Chiefs that could make it really difficult, and that's a dominant defensive line.
Yeah.
But my big takeaway is the Rams just got to clean it up, not turn the ball over. Matthew Stafford just has to play well. If he plays well, I think they win the game.
Duplicates yesterday's performance. I think the Rams are the team to beat right now.
Yeah. All right, next up, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Bills in a classic. I think it is one of the 3 best divisional playoff games I've ever seen, up there with the 74 sea of hands, Raiders-Dolphins, and the 1981 double overtime game between the Dolphins-Chargers, which I still think is the greatest I've ever seen. But this one was pretty damn good too, Steve. And the thing that I take away from this is the Buffalo Bills lost because of their defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier. When there's 13 seconds left and the other team's got the ball on their 25-yard line, you can't sit there when they've got 2 of the best yard-after-catch guys in the NFL, allow them to catch the ball in the middle of the field and run with it with timeouts left. To me, hell, you jam the wide receivers. You hold the wide receivers. If they call it, you're still running 7 seconds off the clock. They'll move the ball 5 yards. You do it again. They'll move the ball 5 yards again. The ball's on your own 40 with like 1 play left. So I think the fact that they sat back, and the other thing is if you blitz Patrick Mahomes and make him move around, you're going to eat the clock up. So I think Leslie Frazier, if anybody hires him to be a head coach, which I know a lot of people are looking at him, I think you're nuts. If I'm Buffalo, I'd get Leslie Frazier's ass out of there right now because this was all coaching. 13 seconds left. Team's got the ball in their own 25. They should never be able to get in a field goal range.
I don't know. In this day and age, with those three quarterbacks, it's pretty hard not to anymore.
No, but if you blitz them,
they're so accurate on these sideline throws now. The touchdown pass to win the game. The precision by which those balls were thrown, and they stay in bounds by inches, and put the ball where nobody can get it but the receiver.
Yeah, but Steve, the issue is the way they defended it. They were letting them throw the ball to wide open receivers and letting them run.
Yeah.
Where if you don't do that, the clock gets ate up. I mean, put it like this: how many times have you seen any quarterback do that with 13 seconds left?
Right. Well,
and I know the three we're talking about are really special, but that to me is a defensive issue. But I can also tell you this. I mean, Josh Allen is as good as anybody playing right now. The way he played yesterday, and I've never seen a quarterback that could run a designed quarterback sweep repeatedly and get 6 yards every time.
Mike, on top of everything else those guys did, they scored 25 points in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
25 points were scored. Both those quarterbacks led their teams in rushing yesterday as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, they were designed running plays. I mean, they were for Allen, but still, I give a lot of credit to Mahomes when he looked downfield and saw his guys recovered. He lowered his head and went. I mean, it wasn't like I'm running for my life. It was like I'm running for yards. And, to have both the quarterbacks of that caliber not only lead your team to victory, but they do it with leading your team in rushing as well. Wow, just an epic football game.
Yeah, and the one thing here that strikes me is the Chiefs were missing Tyrone Matthew and Rashad Fenton. And that's what everything kind of fell apart. So if Fenton and Matthew cannot play against the Bengals have a much better chance to win the game. Because without those guys in the defensive backfield, there was a lot of miscommunication yesterday when they were both gone. And Josh Allen just kind of carved them up without an issue. So my big takeaway from this game is Matthew and Fenton both need to be healthy for them to win next week. And the other thing is, I don't understand why Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't get to run the ball more. I know Kansas City's got Patrick Mahomes and they want to throw the ball. But Helaire yesterday, first time he played in a while, he was explosive. He looked really good, and he's got big play abilities. So I would think this, when I look at the Bengals defense, I would assume that the Bengals are smart. In the second half against the Chiefs, when they were behind 28-17, they changed and they started just rushing 4 and putting 7 into coverage. If they do that again and Andy Reid starts handing the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that could be the difference in the game also. But the MO on Andy Reid is he doesn't like to run the ball even in big situations. So I think the biggest drawback that could cause the Chiefs to win, outside of the injuries to Fenton and Tyra, the Honey Badger, would be if Andy Reid comes out and just wants to throw the ball all the time, because they did that. And in the second half against the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson, DJ, all these guys were starting to get to Mahomes. And if you're going to throw the ball all the time, 1 10-yard loss, all of a sudden at second 20 throws everything off. And that's kind of what happened to the Chiefs against the Bengals the first time. So to me, they need to run Helaire more. I hope they don't, since I'm a Bengals fan. But Helaire needs to touch the ball more.
I'll pose this as a question to you and a statement from me. I think that your argument is very good and legitimate. However, when you've got a guy doing what Mahomes did yesterday, and your running back can get you 7 or 8 yards of play, possibly, Mahomes is getting you 15 to 25 yards of play and getting it done. And he had that kind of velocity and accuracy yesterday, as did all of the big three. Do you want to pull away from Mahomes?
It's not pulled away from him. I think it makes him more dangerous, because by doing that, you go from four basically rushing and 7 covering to having to walk one of those guys up into the box, and you just take away a defender. I think it makes it easier on Mahomes to be able to pull this off. Now, we also have to look at the big thing everybody's talking about right now. Will there be a look at changing the overtime rules this offseason?
Well, let's go. Let me go back again. What's the one thing the Chiefs need to do to pay attention to this week between now and Sunday, where they got to get better
Hey,
at?
wait a second
What you
now.
just said.
Wait. I have an issue with somebody who's watching. Simon, the Chiefs are going to bring it home for sure. I know. Great job on it. Just whatever, Simon. Get out of here. Simon must not realize I'm a Bengals fan since, they were born. And then either that or Simon's talking crap to me right now.
He's
I mean, that
talking
would
crap.
really be messed
And
up. He's
Simon, I'm
talking
sorry,
crap.
I rebuked the $5 wallpaper. I have mementos. I have mementos, trophies, jerseys, and stuff of imminent earnings and value to hang behind my head.
Hey, I do too. I
don't
just
need
can't
a
put them
black.
back here because
I don't need a black $5 piece of carpet or whatever it is. He got that on
Simon,
the corner
Simon,
of the.
right now, Steve's just mad because he didn't get one.
Yeah, I didn't get one. I wasn't offered one, so.
Yeah. We need to
So
get
be
you a
it.
camera so your face will look better, but I don't know if there's
Simon,
any camera that'll do that.
I'm not 100% sold yet. The Chiefs are going to be playing in the Super Bowl yet. I don't know.
He didn't say the Super Bowl. He said just take it home. All right,
Well,
real quick.
I think the Super Bowl is home.
I want to remind you that your top sportsbook comparison site, betting.net, offers extensive reviews on the best sportsbooks out there. Also, every day I'm going to do a betting.net pick of the day, which I did about an hour ago. You can check that on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Just whatever the best bet of the day is. It was college basketball today. So go check that out. So, overtime rules, Steve. Should they change? Are you good with them? Or what would you like it to be if they do change it?
I knew this was going to come up, but it's been brought up everywhere. I don't think the flip of a coin determines who wins the football game because I like to see the number of times a team has won the coin toss and gone down and scored a touchdown. I know it happens, and it happened yesterday. And it happened in the most epic football game we've seen since maybe the Dolphins and Chargers play in a long time, which magnifies it intensely. At this point, first of all, they can't do anything this season. There's no way they can make a change now. So that would have to be done with the rules committee over the offseason and something instituted in. To me, I like it, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm against the grain, I know. But it's sudden death. The element of the coin toss, the going out there and just knowing how important a 50-50 chance is of doing it. And then you've got to go produce. You've got to make that call on 4th and 2, and you're on the 38-yard line or 42-yard line. It's like, do I try and get 2 yards, keep this drive going, or do I kick the field goal and put points on the board and then try to get my defense to hold them from getting down to they get in field goal range? What do you do? I think it still leaves a lot of drama in the game the way it is. And yeah, yesterday, I think we all knew whoever won that coin toss was probably going to win that football game because there was no stopping either of those quarterbacks in that game. But that I'd like to see the percentage of times that actually happens in an NFL season before I got started pissing all over.
How about
the
this?
coin toss.
I think they should just get rid of the coin toss.
Well, how do you do it then?
Well, I would say this. For example.
So you don't like the sudden death idea?
Oh, hold on. No, it is sudden death because first team is
it is sudden death. Yes.
So what I'm saying is you eliminate the coin toss. Whoever's got the ball at the end of the fourth quarter gets the ball. Wherever they have the ball is where they get it. So, for example, it's 3rd and 10. The offensive team completes a 17-yard pass to the opposing team's 45-yard line on the last play of the fourth quarter. When overtime starts, the offense gets the ball, 1st and 10 on the opposing team's 45. I mean, I just don't think that a coin toss decides the game. You're allowed to play defense. And, I mean, to me, I'm good with the way it is now, where if you score a touchdown, the game's over.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the percentages are on it. I do know
I don't either.
Before they started doing this, the percentage of time a team won the coin toss and won the game was 52%. Not a
Last time I can remember was Tebow did it for Denver.
Well, he
I know it's happened
play the
since
game
then.
for a touchdown, and the Steelers never got the ball. That's one of the reasons they changed the rule because we always had to kiss the Steelers' asses so they can win enough. But When I look at this, I just think it's a bunch of crap. I mean, everybody needs to shut up. The game was won.
Yeah,
Buffalo had the game won. All they had to do was stop them in the last 13 seconds, and they didn't. They've
yeah,
got the number one defense in the NFL. All you got to do is stop them. They
right.
didn't. Game's over. And the question is this, Steve. If you go down and you score that touchdown, you give Buffalo the ball, and they score a touchdown, then how does the game end? Do we just go to the next team to score then? Because still then the team that got the coin toss is going to have the ball with a chance to
Yeah.
go win the game. So I mean, it's to me, it's asinine to keep changing the rule. It's asinine to just keep arguing about it. I mean, let's face it, 2018. I mean, you had the Kansas City Chiefs lost the same way. Tom Brady gets the ball, he goes down, he scores a touchdown, game's over. Everybody raises hell then. They have a vote on it. The Kansas City Chiefs vote to change the rule. The Buffalo Bills voted against the rule. So the Bills voted against the rule. You get what you get. Karma's a bitch sometimes. It's over with. Play defense. Everybody
Yeah.
acts like only offense matters.
Well,
We watched the 49ers win a playoff game with special teams.
yeah, there are so many other factors involved. Do you not just drill the ball into the end zone on the kickoff? Do you say, we tend to hold them short of the 25 when we put it down around the 5 or 10 yard line. We've got sprinters down there that make the tackle and down there, and we keep them 5 yards, 6 yards back.
Well, how about this?
And there's just a lot of ifs and nuts.
And the thing is this, though. If they would have kicked the ball into the corner around the 5 yard line, even if it's Tyreek Hill returning it, with 13 seconds left,
they
half
didn't
the
run
clock
time
at
off the
least
clock.
is gone. Yeah. But I mean, nobody does it because they're afraid to kick it to Tyreek Hill. You've got a bunch of professional football players. If you can't stay in your lane and make a tackle, you shouldn't be there anyways. Kick the ball.
No,
I mean, kick the damn thing.
I personally think that the coin toss, I don't see enough negativity toward that, enough negative about doing it that way. And again, if you don't score a touchdown on the first drive, then the defense gets a chance to match the offense. One time, right? Correct?
Well, the defense already gets a chance to stop them. So stop them and quit whining.
Stop them, yeah.
Don't go to overtime. Stop them with 13 seconds left from their own 25-yard line.
Frankly, you could not have picked a better ending to that football game for Kansas City, obviously, more than Buffalo. And I know and I don't want to take anything away from Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo played their asses off. Their coaches
they played great. They probably should have won that game, but they didn't. So
hey, you let them return the kick. If you tackle them, there's probably 7 seconds left. That first play would have ran the clock out.
Yep.
And Patrick Mahomes can't throw the ball 80 yards, so he's not throwing a Hail Mary from the 20 to 25.
No, and see, did that thought ever come in? Or they said their kicker drill it in there, and the guy just waves it off, says, look, we still got our 13 seconds. We got time.
Yeah,
we picked up 2 plays, and you gave us a free play.
Yeah.
So that was – you're right.
I'd normally want to kick the ball through the end zone and give them at the 25, but in that situation – if you kick that and you kick it down to about the 5 or 10 yard line, they can put the ball on the ground.
There's a chance of a fumble happening.
Well, I mean, you're going to run off at least 5 or 6 seconds, which then makes what happened to them impossible. What would have happened then was they get the ball even to 30. They're going to complete a pass to about the 45 or 50, use a timeout, and throw a Hail Mary pass.
I don't think that rule needs to be changed at all.
No, I think it's fine the way it is.
It's fine the way it is.
All right, I want to bring up to everybody right now that tonight at 7 o'clock, myself, Ty Robbins, and former Cincinnati Bengal linebacker Joe Kelly will be on with the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, me and Christopher Shelton will be back with our first of the year old-time boxing shows where we look back at the career of Jerry Cooney through video. And then, Steve, we got an IU basketball show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. To look back at the Indiana loss to Michigan.
Oh, we talk about trap games. That was a trap game.
It was a crap game, Steve.
Yeah, crap game.
But, all right, and make sure tomorrow you check us out, betting.net's Play of the Day. Also, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, @Grueling Truth. But for
Simon,
now,
I'll try and get my paper up if I ever get it delivered.
They're not going to send you a paper, Steve. You've already pissed them all off so bad there.
Have I really?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, I don't care.
He was watching the show, so you must not piss him off too bad. But it looks like you got a Colts jumpsuit from the 1970s on. You're getting ready to go to the disco or Studio 54, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's warm. It's chilly out here today. It's 68. So.
Oh, that's rough, Steve. I mean, hell, it's 18
Yeah.
here. I'd rather have your 68, I think.
Yeah.
But, all right, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you check out the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show tonight with myself, Joe Kelly, and Ty Robbins. But for now, for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.